Hey Springfield, my name is Aaron Clark, and what you're about to watch are stories designed to create compassion, care, and love for one another in our community. We all have a story, we all have history, we all have an authentic story, and with that comes good, bad, and the ugly. But when we know each other's stories, when we hear each other's stories, it gives us the capacity to show more compassion and love for one another. So let's check out a video of an authentic story from one of your neighbors. Thank you for joining us. Tell us your name.
Christine Lincoln.
Christine Lincoln. So what do you do now?
I work at Code Blue in insurance. I fix invoices at night. And I work from home.
Okay. So were you born and raised here in Springfield?
No, I'm from Flint, Michigan, but I grew up in Millington, Michigan. It's like a little country town.
So tell us about your childhood and your upbringing, your family dynamic. And
It was really beautiful, actually. I lived next door to my grandparents and 5 minutes away from my aunt. We had a very small family, so we were always around each other, always doing things for holidays. And if I wanted to get away from my parents, I'd just walk down the street to my grandparents. We lived on 70 acres of woods. I mean, we made trails, we rode four-wheelers, motorcycles, fed the cows. I mean, we just had a blast. I would catch all types of little weird things in the woods and see look them up and stuff. It was just a lot of fun. It was all peaceful and happy. And GM shut down in Flint, so we had to move to Ohio, and that's how we got here when I was about 13.
Wow. So what was the transition like going from Michigan to Ohio? Completely different, you know. So what was, when you got to Ohio, what was that transition like for you as a 13-year-old?
It was definitely weird because I was already a shy and weird kid, so I didn't really like being around people because I was always secluded in the middle of the woods. I was so used to being by myself. I do have a brother. He was way older than me, but he didn't really live with us until I was like 15. So when we got to Ohio, it was like more city. The kids were different. I didn't know how to fit in, so I would lie about everything. I would tell people I had a twin. I would go in the house and change my clothes and come back out. I wanted so bad to make friends, but I didn't know all you have to do is be yourself.
So how long did that stay up? How long did you keep that gig up?
I tried for a couple weeks, but I think they knew the first day. Yeah, I was just really shy. I was a weird child when it came to trying to make friends or anything. So I was awkward, definitely awkward. But we lived in North Lewisburg when we first got to Ohio, so it was kind of secluded, still country, but it was a weird town, I'll say that. I started seeing things I've never seen before. It would freak me out. It was a culture shock, definitely. But yeah.
Are your parents still living? How was your relationship with your mom and dad?
I don't really remember a relationship with my mom growing up. She wasn't really. Sorry. It was almost like she avoided me. And I found out why later. She felt like the mental health in her family would rub off on me. So she tried to distance herself from me. My dad, so they got divorced when we moved to North Lewisburg, Ohio. And I didn't know. I just thought my dad was sick and gone somewhere. And so it was just me and my mom, and she pretty much avoided me. She would work second shift. I'd be at school all day and then come home to a babysitter and then go to bed. She started drinking a lot, and she became really abusive, wake me up 3 in the morning and make me clean, or if I didn't clean, she would hit me, or if I did anything out of what she thought was wrong, which now that I look back, I don't think this was wrong for a child to do, certain things, little things. She would explode and just take it out of context. So it was scary. It was really scary. And then my dad, I just always seen him in a bed. I didn't know what was going on with him. But later on, I found out, like 14 or 15, I found out he was using drugs. I thought it was just marijuana at first. I had no idea what marijuana even was, because growing up in the country, you're kind of secluded from like stuff like that. You don't really, you're isolated. You don't really know what goes on in a city or drugs and stuff like that. So yeah, I found out he was using, and he kind of slowly left the picture, but I would see him on like holidays and stuff, or on the weekends sometimes. So.
You said your mom was distant because of the mental health. As a kid, did it really start to bother you, or were you kind of like, well, it just is what it is? Or how did that affect your mental health, like with your mom?
I mean, as a kid, I was so happy because I had my dad every single day. That was my best friend. So I was cool. I didn't really, it's like, whatever, Ma, I don't care if you're here nor there. But I do remember, like, when she would come around every once in a while, that she was very mean. So I was kind of scared of her. I just didn't want to be around her, really. She would push me away, and I pushed her away. So it didn't really mentally affect me until it was just me and her, and I was forced to be with her every day. That's when it started affecting me. Yeah.
So you go from Michigan to Lewisburg?
North Lewisburg.
North Lewisburg, and what got you to Springfield?
So after, my mom moved like every single year, and we went to her Marysville for a few years. I really liked it there. My mom was still drinking heavily, and it was kind of rocky over there. She would take me to school drunk. She would pick me up. Like, I started my period for the first time, and I was freaking out. I thought I was dying. I had no idea what a period was. And she picks me up from school and throws the stuff at me and said, "This is what you do, and go do it." And then just left me home alone. So I was, I had my friends in Marysville, my bestest friends. Like, I'm still friends with them to today. It's been 18 years. But I had this one particular friend, and my mom didn't like her. She thought she was a bad influence or whatnot. And we were friends for about a year. We had to hide our friendship. We would write like these secret notes with numbers back and forth to each other and stuff. And I would sneak out at night and go see her and stuff. And one night I witnessed her getting raped by her stepdad. And I tried to tell my mom. My mom didn't believe me. Her mom didn't believe me. She said, "I know my daughter's just trying to take my husband from me." So that really messed me up. And a couple weeks after I witnessed it, my friend killed herself. And I tried to tell the school, I tried to tell everybody that I knew this was gonna happen, but they're like, "You're 12, you're 13, you don't know anything about this, just sit down, go away." You know, I was just brushed off. And when my friend killed herself, of course, everybody was sad for me and wanted to comfort me. And I'm like, where were you guys when I needed you? And yeah, after that, I went back in my shell. I put more walls up. I didn't want to be around anybody. My mom got me ice cream. That pissed me off. I'm like, what am I going to do with ice cream? My friend is gone. I wasn't allowed to go to her funeral. I still don't know where she's buried. But yeah, that was really painful. After that, I just slipped into a depression, and I was gothic, what people call it or whatnot. All I wanted to do was just smoke weed and be around people that were in as much pain as I was. So my mom, she looked at that as like a cry for help, so she moved me to Urbana, which was even worse. Like, I really started going crazy after that because she took me away from one of the only friends I had, plus on top of the people who knew what I was going through. So I was in a new area. The kids there, they would pick on me and jump me, and they were just really cruel to me. I started doing phone dating services and sneaking out at night and hanging out with men that were way older than me, like 40s, 30s. And at this time, I was like 15, 16. I would steal my mom's van, go to Dayton, hang out with people, smoke weed, drink, whatever. I was very promiscuous. I didn't really care who it was. It's just I wanted attention. I wanted the pain to go away, to be honest. But she took me out of Urbana school because it got really bad and put me back in North Lewisburg school. So I graduated from high school at North Lewisburg with no friends. I went there when I was younger, but nobody remembered me, and I didn't really want to make any new friends anymore. I got arrested when I was 17 for stealing my mom's van. I can't remember what really came out of that. I know I got in trouble for a little bit, but I ran away to New York when I was 17 after that. And I got to watch the ball drop and see Kanye West. That was pretty cool. And then I came home and tried to tell my mom I was kidnapped. I was like, Mom, I swear they kidnapped me, kept me hostage for 3 days. And the cops said, we have special tools that can see if you have duct tape on your wrist. I'm like, oh, damn, okay, you got me. I didn't get kidnapped. But, yeah, I was a really bad liar. I try to lie about everything. But, yeah, that was pretty much my high school years, young adult life.
Wow. It's amazing how, you oftentimes hear people, they get into other things because they just want the pain to go away.
Yeah.
So when and I heard you say that, so after high school, what was your journey like? You graduated, I don't know if you're still with your mom, or I don't know if you're in Lewisburg or Springfield, but what was the journey like after graduation, after high school?
So when I was doing the phone dating service thingy, I met somebody on there. And my dad, he was still actively in drugs. I didn't know it. I was still clueless to the fact. I knew he was a little eccentric, but I didn't know what was really going on. I moved in with him as soon as I graduated. I just left my mom dirt behind my feet, get away from me. I went and moved it with him. It was pretty cool. He let me have my freedom. And I met this guy on the dating service, and I was still talking to him on the phone, and we had gotten really close. He thought I was 18, but I met him when I was 16. So by this time, he thought I was 20. And things started happening with my dad. Things started coming up missing. He would come up missing for a couple days. He came home one day with a gunshot wound. And I was like, Dad, what's going on? He's like, oh, I owe somebody money. It's okay. I'll be all right. And he just put a patch on it and went to sleep. But it was very entertaining living with him when he was active in addiction. He's very goofy. Anyway, I don't know if you ever met him. He was extremely goofy. So him being high wasn't very different from him being sober. But he met a prostitute, and I knew she was a prostitute. I wasn't stupid. And he moved her in the same day. And she was on heroin like him, and more things started coming up missing, and she would take things off my car, like a radio or the hubcaps. It was just insane. So me and my dad got in a real big fight. He ends up slapping me, which was the first time he ever put my hands on me. It just kind of took me all the way back. So I ran to Dayton and moved in with this guy I met over the phone dating service. And I thought I was in love with him. I thought he was perfect for me. He has his own house, his own car. He's so cool. Like, he has a job, and he would teach me how to cook. He would teach me how to take care of a house, because my parents really teach me any of that. He taught me how to pay bills, how to get stuff in my name or get a car. He helped me with all this stuff. And when he found out that I lied about my age, he also found out I was pregnant with him. And that's when he got really mean, and it was like a 360. I would run off. I stayed in a church for a couple days one time. I stayed at Sinclair for a few weeks one time. I would catch random rides with people, which was really scary now that I think about it. I was on a really bad area of Dayton, so thank God I'm still here. I could have died so many times. I had a job at the dollar store, and I would steal certain things from there just to survive. And he came to me one day. He was like, "I'm so sorry. Let's be a family. I want to be with you." And I'm like, okay. So I get there, and I found out he has this whole nother girlfriend. He's cheating on me. And I just deal with it because I really have nowhere else to go. My dad's active in addiction. My mom, I just didn't want to be around her. I needed my space. She was going crazy, too. She was stalking me everywhere I went and dated. She had a tracker on my phone. I don't know how she got that on there, but it was just insane. So, like, I was getting hurt and abused by everybody around me, and it's like I just started accepting it and dealing with it the best way I could so I could just survive. And once I had my baby, the abuse didn't stop. We got our own apartment, and the guy across the street, he would always come to me when that man that I lived with went to work. He would always come to me and sit with me and talk to me, and he was like, you know, you don't have to go through this. There are places that can help you. And there was one night that it got so bad I was kicked out in the middle of a blizzard. I was in a tank top and shorts, and I just sat there. I believe it was Christmas Eve or I think Christmas Eve. And I was just sitting there like, you know what, I just give up. I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I called the cops. The cops never came. And to this day, it just baffles me why they didn't come. I sat out there for about an hour, and the guy that would give me company came home, and he helped me out. He ended up taking me to YWCA the next morning. And I left the doors unlocked so the guy that I was with could get robbed. I did set him up. It's been over 10 years, so police, you cannot get me now. But I was just so angry, and this guy, he wasn't like the best influence, but he's like, hey, you know, we can get him back if you leave your doors unlocked. Like, good idea. So I was at YWCA for a couple days, and I went back to live with him. And when I went back, it stopped for a little while, and then it started up again. It was just getting worse and worse. So finally, I left. I was in school for social work. Excuse me. The teacher there, she knew what was going on. She was helping me out, and I ended up moving in with this girl that I went to school with. That was weird. Me and my son were on a mat on the floor, which was nothing new to us because me and his father we didn't have nothing. We basically slept on the floor the whole time too, so it wasn't nothing new. It was just weird because she had a crush on the guy that I told her was abusing me and ended up sleeping with him while I was living with her. Wow. So that was like betrayal, over the edge betrayal. But I moved out from her, and I moved in to my own apartment, my very first own apartment by myself. I was so proud of myself. My mom was happy for me. We start painting the walls and making my own. And a couple days in, I start noticing the people around me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in the middle of the freaking ghetto. Like, I don't know nothing about the ghetto. I'm scared. So the women across the hall for me, I got this inner deep feeling that they weren't good people, but they showed me love like nobody else showed me love before. They were really excited to be my friend. They were like, come on, let's do this together, let's do that together. And they made me feel a part of a community there, and they were just wolves in sheep clothing. Like, after that, I knew I should have listened to my inner woman intuition, and I didn't, and I went along with it, and I got burned in the end. We went and robbed the girl that slept with my ex. We robbed her for everything. So we took her credit cards, we went and spent them at Myers, and after we were done with everything, I got home and I fell asleep. I woke up in the middle of the night. I said, you know what? This is like 2008. There are cameras now. We're going to get caught. Like, and I'm telling them, we're going to get caught. They're like, no, we're not. You're good. I'm like, gosh dang, I know we're going to get caught. So next morning, sure enough, police are at my door. I got a felony. I had to pay restitution. I had to pay back all the money. I and one other girl are the only ones that got caught. There was 4 of us. The other 2, they couldn't see their face on the camera. So the other 2 were like, oh, we'll help you pay off the restitution and fines if you don't tell on us. That was a lie. As soon as they were in the clear, I never seen them again. So I knew I will never go through that again. But so here I am with a felony. They took my license. I had a car, but it would only go 45 on the highway. I had literally no money, no job, nothing. I was living in income base, so like my rent was nothing, but I had utilities, 2 utility bills that I had to pay. So I was freaking out, and I had a baby to take care of. So I'm like, I didn't know what to do, and no job would hire me with a felony. It was impossible. So I did things that I would never expect myself to do. So my life was hectic for like a year, and nobody really knew what I was doing. I was covering it up pretty well, but my mom knew something wasn't right, and she kept saying like, you need to get out of this. I know you're in something that you shouldn't be in. And I'm like, whatever, Mom, whatever. So after a year, I built up all my bills. I mean, our house was decked out. It was beautiful. Everything was like going really good. And rumor got around that I had all this money, so I got robbed and everything got taken from me. So I went to the court and I asked them if I could get it expunged. And after a year, I could. So I got it expunged, and I got a job at the dollar store, and I was happy. After I got that job, my reputation was still kind of stank. People still were talking about me. And this one guy, he came to bum a cigarette from me. And when I turned around to get the cigarette, I turned back around, and he's in my house. And he ends up raping me. And I was never raped before, so I didn't know what to do. And I just shut up and I let happen what happened. And after it was all said and done, he left. I stayed in my house for like 3 days. I think my son was with my mom. I can't even remember. I didn't answer my phone. I didn't answer the door for like 3 days. I told management, can I please move to the back of the complex so nobody knows where I'm at. They finally moved me. Once I moved, I found out I was pregnant, and it was his. So I wanted to get out of there as fast as I could. I moved back to Marysville. And right before I moved to Marysville, I had my baby. So I have 2 kids, and I'm in Marysville. So I meet this guy who's married. He ends up moving in with me. He gets a divorce because he wants to be with me. I still regret that to this day because I knew he was married. And I feel terrible because that was a beautiful family that I broke up. And at the time, I was just so selfish, only thinking of myself. Like, I'm a single mom with 2 kids. How am I going to do this? And this guy was willing to help. So, hey, come on. Let's do it. Let's be together. Let's be a family. And I took him away from his real family. So I knew that wasn't going to end up good. Like, I knew karma and God, his wrath, was coming for me. And my life was smooth and easy for maybe 3 years. We were happy. And while we were in Marysville, it was just weird. We couldn't find a job. So Marysville is weird now. I'm just going to say that. So we didn't want to go all the way back to Dayton. So we're doing Google research or whatever. And we found this little town called Springfield.
Wow.
We're like, hey, here's a house for $500 a month. It's like a 4-bedroom. It's on Clifton and Euclid. That sounds like the cutest little town ever. We get here, and it's like, oh, my gosh, this is like Dayton all over again. So we move in. He has his daughter. I have my 2 boys. And we get jobs right away. I mean, like, the first week we're here, everybody loves us. We get jobs. We get money, income. And everything's going perfect. And then all of a sudden, there was, like, a rumor that I was cheating on him, which was not true. Like, I was absolutely in love with him. And I don't know what made his... I think it was the divorce, honestly. I think it just took a toll on him, and he started feeling guilty. And something just snapped in his brain. And after that, I jumped right back into another relationship, which is my daughter's father. And when I met him, he was a janitor at the daycare I worked at. I thought it was the cutest thing because my dad was a janitor when I grew up. So I'm like, oh, a janitor. And like, we hit it off, and he only had 2 kids when I met him, and it was like perfect situation. And we would hang out. He made me feel special because he was really popular in Springfield. So I thought it was cool to be around him. Like, oh, yay, now I'm seen. And he nicknamed me Kay, which later to find out he was cheating, so he put his girlfriends in as the first letter of their name. And he thought my first letter of my name was K, but it's actually C. And I'm still called K by a lot of people, so it's just ironic. It's kind of funny. But we were together for about a year. I ended up getting pregnant. It was wild, back and forth. I left everything in Springfield because I ended up getting bed bugs in that house on Clifton and Euclid. So I was scared. I left everything, and I moved to Fairborn thinking it was going to be better. And it wasn't. It was really scary out there. People didn't like me. I had a babysitter that abused and abused my son, and another babysitter who sexually molested my son. They both went to prison for, I think, a year for what they did. I was robbed again, over and over, maybe like 3 times. And I had nothing. Like, they took my Apple computer, like 1990, I don't know, whatever year they came out. The oldest Apple, it just didn't make any sense to me. Like, you're not going to make any money. But I just kept coming back to Springfield when I was in Fairborn. I wasn't comfortable there. I didn't like it there. I made a couple of friends that I'm still friends with, but I just didn't want to be there. So I moved back to Springfield with the man that I got pregnant with. I got us a house for his kids and my kids, this big old beautiful house on the corner of Clay and Fremont. And I seen it in his eyes. I knew that he wasn't happy, but I kept forcing it because I did not want another failed relationship. Like, I really wanted to be with the man I had a child with. Like, that's what I've always wanted. So I was forcing something that was not there. And sure enough, he had someone else that thought that he was just as much her man as I thought he was mine. So it took me 5 years of that to try to get away from him, and it was a very toxic breakup. I hit his car, he hit my car. He flipped my house upside down one time, I swear. It looked like somebody came in, picked my house up, flipped it upside down, and then put it back up. Everything was knocked over. The fridge was knocked over. Food was all over the floor. All my little SETI things, glass things were all broken, like things from my grandma, and just all types of stuff was ruined. And I just, every time he would act out like that, I lost a little bit more love for him. So eventually I just stopped caring what he did and just let him go off and cheat and do whatever. And he would come home every once in a while. I found him one day. I came home and he was packing heroin in my dining room, and the kids were running around. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? I freaked out. Like, I freaked out. I started threatening to call the police. I was just scared. And he packed it all up and left. And my dad ended up moving in with me, the heroin addict. So my baby's father was like really excited about that, and I didn't know why. I was like, because I still didn't know that my dad was really on heroin. I thought it was like coke and crack. Like he talked about it back when we lived in Ohio, well, the other city. I think we're in Mansfield, but it's like it just didn't really hit me. I thought he was better, and because Felicia was gone, she had passed away, so I thought he was better. And he moved in with me, and I would come home, my dad would be acting really weird. I thought he was going senile. And my dad ended up selling his house in Michigan, which was my grandparents' house, and buying me a house out here. And we found this beautiful little house with some land on it, so I was really excited about that. He put it in my name and stuff, and we're all happy living together, my baby's father and me, and then my friend moved in with us, and I just started drinking like crazy. Like I would black out maybe every other day. I was blacked out drunk. Wow. And it was pretty bad. Like I didn't realize how bad it was until I woke up from a blackout and I was in the middle of cussing my dad out. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with me? Wow. And my dad was like, Bean, I think you need to get some help. I was like, oh my gosh. So I just stopped drinking like cold turkey. I just stopped. I didn't want to drink anymore. Like I was done with it. I didn't want my kids to see me like that. I wasn't around them pretty much. I would leave them with my dad all the time because I'm like, hey, I'm newly single. Even though my baby's father lived with me, I'm single. I don't care. Let me go out. I was partying. I was doing all types of stuff. So once I stopped doing all that, I kicked the one girl out. I kicked my baby's father out. And ever since I cut ties with him, it's been 5 years, I think, now. I have been literally having to build myself back up from my 13-year-old self to now. I had to get to know myself, go to counseling for things that I didn't really hash out and forgive myself for. I had to talk to God and just lay myself down like, here I am, me and all my flaws, me and everything that I've done wrong, here I am. And it's like, I'm still healing. I'm not completely healed from that. And I don't know if I ever will be, but I know that now. I know all the signs, not all the signs, but I know signs, I know red flags. I no longer let people take advantage of me or get me juped up in stupid situations. I'm able to, because these men, they still try to abuse me in certain ways mentally. And it's like I'm able to say, hey, you can't talk to me like that. I'm not going to talk to you until you calm down, until you can talk to me respectfully. Like, you have no control or power over me anymore. I'm by myself. I have my house. I have my own car. You have no control over what goes over here, on over here. So it's just, there's a lot of turmoil that I try to leave behind, but that still follows me because I have children by these men. And yeah, I'm here now.
Wow, that's I mean, you can't take that lightly to say I'm here now. That's really big because you've been through a lot of situations, or a lot of women didn't make it from that.
Yeah.
You know, so the fact that you're able to sit here and share your story, as we wrap up, you know, saying I'm here, that's huge. You know, that's really big. And although healing is a process, it'll come, and it'll come. Very quickly as we wrap up, you mentioned, you know, what is your passion now? Like, and, you know, I know before you talked about a nonprofit and, you know, that the turnaround. So share your passion now as we wrap up.
I love kids. I just love putting smiles on their faces, and that's part of what the nonprofit is. There's a lot of single moms out there who can't provide things for their kids, so we pack up things and take them over there to mommies so they can give it to their kids and make them feel like, hey, mommy did this for us. And they send us pictures, and it just fills my heart. Like, oh, look at the baby. She's excited over a mattress or new blankets or food. Like, and it's fun. That's my passion. I love just making people happy that are in impossible situations to get out of.
Wow. Wow. Well, thank you, Christine, for sharing your story. An amazing journey, and we appreciate you. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.